Welcome back, guys, to FreeForGeeks.com's coverage of E3 2014. I am Senior Games Editor Josh Barnett. With me, Jedi-in-Chief Trey Elliott, and Senior Tech Editor Justin North.
Hey, everybody.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good. We just wrapped EA's coverage, EA's big press briefing. Big is the capital word there. What'd you think?
Not that big. Yeah, it was. To me, it was a little disappointing. I mean, they only had an hour. It's about half an hour longer than the Microsoft had for their press briefing. But yeah, I mean, so I know they have to squeeze in a lot more. But to me, it felt like they were kind of really quick hits, not a lot of info, and not anything that was too exciting or unexpected, which is unfortunate.
And a lot of the stuff they did show is really exciting properties, but a lot of it looked like it was in really early stages.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of test footage and a lot of repeat titles, which is what EA does. They bring something, the same game every year, just, kind of updated. Stuff like all their sports games.
Right. And a lot of, too, with stuff like Mirror's Edge and other things that we'll talk about. Like a lot of, hey, we're going to show the developers and have them talk about them working and show them clicking that stuff on a computer, but we're not going to actually show any legit footage. So
True. Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was just that there was 13 or 14 games that they showed. The majority of them were in real early stages, or they're games that are about to come out. There wasn't much kind of teasing in that middle ground for me. It was either, hey, we've got FIFA that's coming out in just a couple months, or we've got literally UFC that comes out in a week, or we've got Star Wars, which is coming out God knows when. Spring 2015. And here's 2 seconds of really pretty footage.
Yeah, it just kind of lacked any kind of shock and awe, I think. And that's something that people really want to see when they're watching E3 coverage.
I agree. Big standout games for you, though? I mean, obviously...
right, as Jedi-in-Chief, newly dubbed, I'm definitely was excited about Battlefront. It was really cool to see the stuff that they talked about with going into Lucasfilm and getting all the original models and capturing all that stuff. What little they showed from DICE looked really, really, really pretty. So that's nice to see.
I also like how they went on actual location to the original.
Yeah, exactly.
Film. It's man, getting that reality set in with that game hopefully will help it just stand out.
Yeah, it seems like they're definitely doing, or they're having a lot of reverence for the series and understand that it's an important thing, and they're not just throwing it out there, which is nice to see. So. And then the other big one for me was Mass Effect, obviously.
Another super quick tease, but...
Yeah, another, hey, we're going to show developers working on computers. But, I mean, it was exciting to see, the kind of them talking about the bigger scope, and obviously it's going to look a whole lot prettier and all that kind of good stuff. So, didn't get to see much, but any Mass Effect is good. So
I think it's also exciting. I wish that they would have been able to spend more time on Mass Effect, but it was also exciting to hear them talk about a new IP. Coming out of that development group.
Sure.
So that's we don't really have any details as to what it's going to be, but it's always exciting to hear those guys working on new stuff.
Really pretty Tree Simulator 2015.
That would probably be a great title. That's a great working title.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Also, we got a nice in-depth look at some Dragon Age Inquisition gameplay.
For sure. Yeah, that's what they opened the show with. Some pretty crazy cello work.
Yeah, it was awesome.
On the electric cello.
Yeah. We had just seen Dragon Age earlier on Microsoft's press briefing, and now they come out there and they have, the live cellist on stage, and she's playing, some really epic, fantasy music, and then they go into the, team-based combat that they were showing where you're controlling your whole party at once, each person targeting, a different area of a big dragon and a big, boss fight. The game just looks stunning.
Yeah, it's not my, cup of tea, Dragon Age in the past. I just haven't gotten into, but this one does look really cool, and I may end up picking it up. So
I thought it was kind of interesting strategy-wise, as far as for the company, for EA, to allow Microsoft to be the first ones to come out during E3 and show footage, any kind of footage at all. I feel like that kind of epic moment where the cellist came out and they had that whole great video. I think that would have been kind of a really big moment for fans of the series, but it was kind of. I mean, it's still impressive, but it didn't have, I don't think, the same impact that it would have had if they would have been the first ones to the table with that.
Right. That kind of stuff happens at E3 all the time as well. I mean, those guys have deals in place with certain studios, and Microsoft wants to get those kind of exclusives out there and be the first person to be showing whatever footage. So,
right.
I mean, that happens all the time. Obviously, plenty of sports titles shown.
Indeed, all the sports titles.
Madden got a real weird defensive, overlay system. I don't know how I feel about that yet. The camera behind the defensive player, and then gigantic icons showing up over your player telling you what button to press. I don't feel like that immerses you in the sports simulation that you want.
I'm curious if that'll be a toggle option, like where you can turn that on if you want to or not.
It definitely helps.
Yeah, and even having it, having that button overlay above the player before the snap, just so that people who don't remember all the controls can have that as kind of a reminder right before the ball is snapped and the play starts. That would be fine, but I agree with what you're saying. If that is static and it stays there the entire time, it kind of pulls you out of the experience.
As a dude who sucks at Madden, I'm okay with any sort of help that they want to give me.
A real brief glimpse at NHL 15, though. I think that game looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it does. A lot of physics work on that this year.
Super collider physics, They got some real science in that game.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited about it, being a huge hockey fan. For me, probably the biggest actual news shown was what they closed the show with, which was officially confirming Battlefield Hardline.
Indeed.
The cops and robbers procedural drama type show. The multiplayer map that they showed was intense.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of felt like it hit some of the same beats as last year for me personally. I had the giant thing falling down, which was like the big thing of last year with the building collapsing. And that kind of
last
thing.
year
But
it had us all shouting
and
for
sure.
really excited, and this didn't have the same impact for sure.
For me personally, it did. But
sure, the game looks really good, and I think some of the stuff they're doing with it looks really cool. I just for the trailer in general, it felt very the same thing to me, but.
Understandable. I liked that it showed so many different elements at one time. Like, it started as your normal Battlefield, fighting in the streets, kind of first-person shooter, one-on-one type thing.
Right.
And then it evolved. It went into a big police chase. And as it went from there, you went up through a building and you were holding, you got the loot. And
you did in fact get the loot.
There was no doubt that you had the loot.
Yeah, had a bag of money. I thought a really cool moment was when your player got into the elevator and that bullet whizzed by you and hit the side of the elevator. You actually saw actual dollar bills that came out of your pouch.
Right.
That were flying in air with bullet holes in them. And then getting to the top and having to jump out of a helicopter as the cops shoot it down type thing. That whole action movie sequence all put into one multiplayer game. Sounds like it could be really, really cool.
And then the question then becomes how much of that is actually recreatable, right? Talking about another EA game last year when we talked about when we saw Titanfall, the big thing was these things look really awesome, but can you really do them? And they did a pretty successful job with that. So I'm curious if Battlefield's going to be able to do the same and make these big epic experiences actually be able to be played out by the player and not just in a scripted demo at E3. So,
and especially when Battlefield 4, had the same feel last year, and it claimed that it was going to deliver that kind of action to you and that kind of really kind of frantic experience that's a lot more action packed than what you've normally seen from Battlefield in the past. And then they infamously had issues with things not working with their servers, and so to get that experience, you've got to be able to get. They said it was a 64-player multiplayer demo. If their servers can handle it, then I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Really cool news with Battlefield, though, is there is actually a demo or a beta rather that is live today, at the end of their conference. If you're a PC or a PS4 player who already has Battlefront or Battlefield 4 rather, you can go and sign up on their website and download that beta as long as you get accepted today and start playing that game, which I think is a really cool thing to do.
I'm curious how big access they're going to give to that. We're going to try to download it here in a couple minutes. So.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have some impressions on that soon.
Indeed.
I think the weirdest part of the conference was that Criterion Games demo. They had no idea what they're going with that.
Yeah.
It's a Need for Speed developer. They did Burnout. They did a bunch of other things, but all they showed was some real early footage of 16 different extreme sports style driving experiences.
Yeah.
Like ATVs and off-road rally vehicles, snowboarding and
helicopters.
Yeah, all that stuff, but they didn't talk about what that game is going to be. Just that it's the most exciting game from Criterion yet.
I have a feeling it'll be Burnout or Need for Speed still next year. They're just trying to say, hey, we're doing something new, which is needed, and it's good that they took a year off. Need for Speed's come out annually for the last century or so. So it'll be roughly, I'm estimating, but
give or take a decade, whatever.
Yeah, but no. So even if it is just another Need for Speed or another Burnout game, it looks like they're actually at least trying to do something new, and they're taking an extra year to work on it. So that's good.
Awesome. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for E3 2014 EA edition. Be sure to check back with us for Ubisoft as well as Sony, and go back and watch our Microsoft briefing as well.
Bye.